Hey, what's up everybody? This is Charles. I want to welcome you guys to the conversation. So today, I got a little bit of controversy that I want to talk about with you guys regarding the NBA and the whole MVP thing. So the question today is the NBA media pushing for LeBron James for MVP over Giannis Antetokounmpo proof that the NBA is rigged? So that's what I want to get into today. Now, let me just firstly say that I know that this is a controversial topic, and some of you guys, when you read the title, is going to make your eyebrows pop a little bit. And even as you watch this video, some of you guys may have a number of different emotions going through your head watching this video. But, excuse me, there's just some stuff that I've been noticing, you know, in the narrative of the NBA and the sports media over the last, let's say, 4 weeks, that has me and some people out there scratching their heads and wondering what the hell is really going on in the league. So let me just give you guys the background of what's been happening so far. So you all know that this season and the NBA season is made up of a bunch of different narratives. Now, if you look at the narrative of this current season, is basically which two LA teams are the best teams, the dynamic duos, the Houston Rockets, the race for the MVP. And in this case, looking at the regular season so far, the Milwaukee Bucks have been head and shoulders above the entire league if we're talking about from an offensive and defensive standpoint. Now, as we're doing this video, the Milwaukee Bucks currently have the best record in the entire NBA, not just in the Eastern Conference, but the entire league of 53-10 wins. Now, if we look at the Lakers, who have the best record in the Western Conference, they're currently at 48-13 as we're shooting this video. Now, all of you guys who've been following the league for God knows how long, all of you guys know that in order for you to be an MVP of the league, a few things have to happen. One of them, which is pretty much standard throughout the history of the voting, is that your team has to have the overall record in the NBA. It doesn't always have to be that case, but in most cases, that's usually what it is. Now, if we also have to look at that person that we're thinking of making the regular season MVP, we also have to look at your individual stats, and that goes a long way. Up to this point, Giannis Antetokounmpo has been running away with the regular season MVP voting because if we look at his numbers for this season, he's averaging 29.6 points a game, 13.7 rebounds a game, and 5.8 assists. Now, if we go deeper into his regular season averages, he's playing just about 31 minutes a game. He's shooting 54% from the floor, 30% from the three-point line. Now, granted, Giannis is not a great three-point shooter, but his three-point attempts are up this season because last season he shot 25.6% from the floor, but last season he was only attempting 2.8 three-pointers a game, whereas this season he's averaging twice as many with 4.8 three-pointers a game. He's shooting 63% from the free throw line. As I said before, getting you 13.7 rebounds. He's getting you 1 steal and 1 block per game. Now, Giannis is no slouch. It's not like as if Giannis is just some player that popped up out of nowhere and all of a sudden he's in consideration for winning the regular season MVP. Giannis has won a regular season MVP just last season in 2019. He's a 4-time All-Star, all first-team NBA player, 2-time all second-team NBA player. So he's one of the best players in the NBA, and of course, he has a pretty good chance of even winning Defensive Player of the Year. Now, let's look at his counterpart in LeBron James. Now, LeBron James this season is averaging 25.6 points a game, 7.8 rebounds, and 10.7 assists. Now, if we go deeper in his numbers, he's playing about 35 minutes a game, shooting 49.9, so let's say 50% from the field, shooting 35% from the three-point line, shooting 70% from the free throw line. As I said before, he's getting you 10 assists a game with 1.3 steals and 0.5 blocks. So those are their individual numbers. Now, if you look at these individual numbers, it really depends on what your preference is as a person sort of taking in the information. If you're a basketball fan, maybe some of you guys love assists, playmaking. So you may say that you're going to give the nod to LeBron James in that category because, number one, he is playing in his 17th season and he's averaging over 10 assists a game, leading the league in assists, which is something that he has never done in his entire career. So looking at those numbers in the face of them, you'll say, wow, LeBron is putting up fantastic numbers, and he is. I mean, no one is questioning that. But if you look at Giannis Antetokounmpo, Giannis is getting you about 14 rebounds a game. He is probably the most physical presence in the entire league. And he's probably most likely going to be one of the finalists for Defensive Player of the Year. So it all depends on what your preference is. So that's why we have to take it beyond just the individual numbers. And for those of you who care about PER, Giannis currently, as we're doing this video, has the best PER in the history of the NBA. That's above Kareem, LeBron, Michael Jordan. Giannis Antetokounmpo, if he continues at this level, will have the greatest PER in the history of basketball. Now, if we look at their teams, Giannis has the #1 record. But if you go even deeper, we have to look at how is it that he has the #1 record in the NBA? LeBron James, as you all know, plays with another top 5, or in some people's book, top 10 player in the NBA, in Anthony Davis. Anthony Davis, in some people's minds, is a superstar talent to the very least. Maybe he doesn't play as a superstar in all moments throughout the season, or maybe in the playoffs, but certainly he can put up superstar numbers, and he has superstar stats. Maybe not necessarily superstar intangibles. Nevertheless, LeBron James is playing with an all-world running mate. Now, if we look at the Milwaukee Bucks, Giannis Antetokounmpo's running mate is Chris Middleton. Now, Chris Middleton is an all-star, but no one is going to accuse Chris Middleton of being on the same level as Anthony Davis. Chris Middleton is really good, but he's probably a top 25 NBA player in the league, or probably top 30. Whereas AD, in some people's book, especially people like Stephen A. Smith or maybe Shannon Sharp, is top 5 in the NBA. So that's the second best player that both candidates are playing with. Now, as we continue, as the season progressed, most people like Chris Broussard and others, said that Giannis Antetokounmpo, hands down, is going to win the regular season MVP because his team is playing at a historic rate. They're the #1 team on offensive rating, the #1 team in defensive rating. So, they have the best record in the league. To this point, they already have above 50 wins. So they're probably going to be one of the great all-time teams. So me following the narrative of the regular season and the NBA, I thought that it was pretty much a done deal that Giannis Antetokounmpo was going to win the regular season MVP award because, #1, he has the best record. He is not playing with as much talent. If we're talking about another superstar on his team, he doesn't have that. It's him and pretty much Chris Middleton, whereas LeBron is playing with Anthony Davis. He has, an all-world player in Anthony Davis to rely on, and Giannis is putting up beast mode numbers, having the #1 PER in the history of the NBA. And if you look at his numbers are just gaudy. I mean, if you look at his numbers, and he's doing this in less minutes. He's playing about 30 minutes a game to LeBron James' 35 minutes a game. So I thought it was pretty much a done deal, and the discussion was pretty much closed up until the last 3 weeks. What has been happening over the last 3 weeks? It seems like people in the media, I don't know if they're cohorts of LeBron James, I don't know if he has media plans, I don't know if it's the NBA themselves, because remember, LeBron is the face of the league, so to speak. So the NBA always wants to push their product, in front of everyone, and also always keep him relevant. But for whatever the case is, it seems like now the media is beginning to turn, the conversation is beginning to turn into this LeBron versus Anthony Davis, whereas now LeBron has a real shot at winning the MVP, and I don't really know why. Now, granted, the Lakers just beat the Bucks just the other night. I get that, but that win against the Bucks doesn't summarize the whole season, because the Bucks already beat the Lakers this season, #1, and #2, the Bucks still have the overall record in the NBA. To win the MVP doesn't mean that if you're going to play against the other team in the league, if you beat them more times in all of the meetings that you have. Remember, Eastern Conference teams meet each other 4 times a year, and Western Conference versus Eastern Conference teams only meet each other twice, one away, one at home. So if they have a regular season split, I hope that's not what most voters are going to be basing their decision on, and I don't think that's going to be the criterion that a lot of these voters are going to be basing their decision on. So we know that it must be something else other than the things I just mentioned. And I think that what's happening is the NBA is beginning to create this narrative, and they're starting to push LeBron James into the forefront. Because guys, we have to understand that the NBA is a business, and it's built off of personalities. In the NBA, more than any other sport, more than golf, I mean, maybe more than football, the NBA is based on their personalities. It's a star-driven league. So the more, the faces, the stars are the ones that are pushing the product, pushing the brand. And in this case, I think that they're now trying to push LeBron ahead of, Giannis Antetokounmpo, because most people, I'm sure, don't believe that the Lakers are going to be able to beat the Clippers, which we're going to get into in another video just a little bit later. I'm sure most people don't believe that the Lakers are better than the Clippers, so they have to be able to salvage, LeBron in some other way, because that's the face of the league. Now, the other aspect in this is something that's quite common in sports, which is we all know that sports, you need narratives. Narratives are what create a story. And once you have a story, you create intrigue, which draws in attention. So there's also that at play, and that may be standard practice. Most of you guys may say, well, hey, this is this is just business as usual. But in this case, I think it's something quite different. I think what's about to happen is, I don't know for sure, but I think the NBA is starting to position itself in a way where Giannis may actually have the MVP award stolen from him and given to LeBron James. And if that happens, I think it's a great cause to pause and wonder, hey, is everything fair? And is everything fair in the NBA? Because to me, I don't understand how in the hell it's possible that LeBron could be considered MVP over Giannis when Giannis has a better record, is putting up better numbers, and number three, he's playing with less talent as far as another superstar. I don't understand how then we can now look at all of that information and now say, hey, we'll give it to that dude. Makes no sense to me. And I think, if you guys follow political campaigns, this may just be a popular vote. You may win the vote. You may just say, okay, I won the most votes, but I didn't win the most opinions, in this case, caucuses, so let's give it to this dude. I'm not getting into politics anyway, but hopefully you understand what I'm saying. But if Giannis loses this award and he has the number one record in the NBA, his numbers continue to be what they are. And if he loses that to LeBron, whose team may not have just a record as good as his, it's going to really make me start looking at the NBA sideways. So what I want to know from you guys is, do you think that the NBA could be rigged if Giannis Antetokounmpo loses the regular season MVP to LeBron when he has a better record, he has a better overall record, his team is one of the historically great teams thus far in the NBA season, and he's putting up these gaudy numbers and not playing with another all-star? Do you think that the NBA is rigged if he still ends up losing the regular season MVP award, or do you think it's fair game and LeBron deserves it over him? Whatever you guys think, please leave your thoughts and comments in the comment section below. Again, if you enjoyed the video, don't forget to hit the like button and hit the subscribe button and hit the notification bell to be notified when all of our newest and hottest content comes out. Once again, this is Charles here from Dreamerspro, wishing you guys an amazing day. Peace.